My daughter sent me a text about 45 minutes ago that he crossed the veil at 100. He's not far. Plains is a little bit away from me. And it's according to if you're talking about Atlanta or Macon too. One is closer than the other. But he was a bit of a folk legend around these parts. After his presidency, mainly. Oh, thanks, Linda. It's when I was at Naval Special Surveillance with DOD. Just ran between the Pentagon and Paxatunet River. Or however you say it. What's up, Trump said? How are you doing, bud? Have them dogs out working today? Hey, Oklahoma. All right. Let's get into the fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, um, he got a bad deal, and then the OPEC embargo screwed us majorly. But he he was a good guy. He was not the best of presidents. I don't think he was a very good administrator, which is crazy because he ran sub. I think he was a sub commander when he was in the Army. I mean, in the Navy. So, um, sorry, I was just reading y'all's comments. Yeah, and he had to inherit Ford's stuff coming off of um, Nixon coming out of the Vietnam War. It had to be a yeah. I misspoke. Trump said I spent more time with the Marines and the Navy than I did with the Army, I think. So yeah, you get judged for your administrative skills there. So all right, let me get a drink real quick. It was funny, and the the Army has more boats than the Navy, just not as big. And we won't talk about those amphibious landings, will we, Jimbo? What up, Chino Nino? All right. Yeah. He was a good person and he made it to 100. So it's saying something. Chapter 4. You had a boat in Iraq? Was you down by Qasar and stuff? Or were you playing on the Tigris or and Euphrates? I bet you do, Trump. Those are pretty cool, but they're also pretty good targets as well. Excuse me. Coke is talking back. All right, chapter 4. Complex PTSD and avoidance behavior. Thank you, Chino Nino. I appreciate it. People who suffer from complex PTSD understandably desire to avoid revisiting the traumatic events that left them scarred. Nomad. Avoidance behavior is something they do to keep themselves from experiencing physical and emotional pain. Hey, Cap. Avoidance behavior refers to any activity taken to avoid experiencing these emotions. This can manifest in a variety of ways. Here are a few of the most common avoidance behaviors. Distancing yourself from others, especially family members, who serve as reminders of the trauma. The inability to feel pain or physical sensation in one's body. Avoidance of memories of the trauma. Shutting down emotionally and having difficulty expressing love. Distancing yourself from activities that used to be enjoyable. Feeling disconnected or distant from reality. Refusing to participate in activities that relate to the trauma. Similarly, similarly, sorry, words hard, brain injuries or heavy R stuff, you know. Behavioral avoidance is the deliberate suppression of memories of a stressful incident. This encompasses physical locations, people, and sounds. The following are a few examples. A war veteran may decide to quit viewing the news or using social media because of reports or tweets about war or current military events. Affected individuals may go out of their way to avoid going back to the location where they were assaulted or going to areas that remind them of the assault. So like me, I've said this before, I think on oh, I remember you talking about that Jimbo. Hey Heidi. So there are certain smells, I'm sure Jimbo can attest to this, that you smell in the markets in the Middle East or Afghanistan, um, Eastern Africa, Northern Africa. Those will carry me back, and a very certain ringtone on phones, because I knew when I heard that ringtone that there was a blast coming. I was early on in the ID stuff, and they weren't as good at hiding their triggering devices as they've gotten in the past, or they've gotten up till now. So the negative consequences of avoidance behavior. Emotions are important for a variety of psychological and physiological reasons. Your emotions supply you with information about yourself, as well as about the events taking place in your environment. They are effective communicators and motivators of action. For example, fear indicates that you may be in danger. Melancholy indicates that you may require some time to care for yourself or seek assistance from others. The most common method to cope with trauma is to avoid any recollections or memories of it. However, suppressing the trauma for an extended period of time can only cause more misery. Trauma survivors who employ avoidance behavior to cope are more likely than not to reject the medical care they require to heal. Why? Because trauma therapy may include bringing up specific traumatic events or triggers during the course of treatment. Secondly, avoiding situations simply serves to exacerbate feelings of anxiety and worry. Repetition is how people learn, and the more time people spend engaging in avoidant strategies, the longer the symptoms of the complex PTSD will last. Absolutely, Jimbo, we do. The term emotional numbness is used to explain a state of mind deployed by both complex PTSD and PTSD patients. To be more specific, this behavior is a pattern in which they emotionally shut down and deny themselves the ability to experience or feel their complete range of emotions. These can be in relation to their post-traumatic stress disorder or in relation to their regular lives. For many survivors, it is easier to be emotionally detached than to be emotionally involved. Oh, no problem, Heidi. It, like I always say, PTSD is not specifically a military related issue. Trauma is trauma. It affects us all, survivors of trauma, in many different ways, and bringing awareness to it is the uh, best way I know how to help people. Yeah, I know plenty of people um, like that about PTSD, Jimbo. They don't they don't think it's real. You know, I was raised in a household where psychology and psychotherapy were pejoratives, so I definitely get it. Since trauma has the ability to leave a lasting impression on everyone, the practice of emotional numbness is understandable in some ways. If I didn't say, hey, Linda, hey, although emotional numbness stems from a desire to emotionally survive and protect oneself, it has been demonstrated to exacerbate post traumatic stress disorder. Human beings' emotional nature cannot be stressed. People must be able to engage with others, understand information, and feel emotions. You may be striving to distance yourself from negative feelings when you emotionally shut down. However, you are preventing pleasurable and affirming emotions from entering your body. Happiness, joy, wonder, curiosity, belonging, and love, for example, are all sentiments that can and should be felt. I often blamed all of that on being Jewish, and the other half of me is straight British islandness. So you just push everything down until it all explodes out, right? So this is especially true for persons with complex PTSD who have been unable to separate from their horrific experience. People with complex PTSD often feel disconnected from those around them, which is why this happens. If you have this disorder, you frequently believe that you've been misinterpreted. Maybe you feel unworthy in some way. The recovery process is aided by having life events that corroborate positive feelings. Therefore, it's impossible to access your emotions if you've made yourself emotionally numb. Which makes recovering from trauma more challenging. The emotions you're trying to avoid may grow more difficult to ignore with time, despite the fact that emotional avoidance momentarily suppresses these unpleasant feelings and thoughts. When your emotions are attempting to fulfill their functions, they may fight back. It's possible that someone who is desperate to avoid feelings, their emotions will resort to more harsh and unhealthy measures to do so, such as substance abuse. The effort required to avoid your emotion is equally significant. And as the emotions you are trying to avoid become stronger, the amount of work required to keep them at bay increases. As a result, you may have little energy left over for the things that are important in your life, such as family and friends. Further to this, focusing all of your energy on avoiding certain feelings may make it more difficult to cope with other emotions, such as annoyance and anger, increasing your likelihood of becoming on edge and irritable. Absolutely, Heidi. Self-medicating is absolutely a real thing. Um, before I was diagnosed, I was drinking a lot to numb the pain. Let's see. Researchers have discovered that avoiding stressful situations can lead to chronic worry. I have a buddy that tried it, and he only needed it once, and he said it definitely gave him clarity, Jimbo. According to Alice Boyes, PhD, when people use avoidance coping, they typically end up experiencing more of the very thing they were trying to escape. This can come in forms of choosing partners that exemplify or repeat the actions of your initial abuser when you was a child. No, but DMT replicates a natural substance in your brain. I'll look it up in a minute, but and share it. But many times choosing the partners that, and this is with complex PTSD, we choose a partner that are the same as the people that elicited abuse on us when we were children. Yeah, hang on. So it is in dimethyltryptamine. Is a psychedelic drug that occurs naturally in small amounts in plants and animals, including humans. It is a tryptamine derivative that produces intense hallucinogenic effects when ingested, smoked, or injected. So the buddy, he did a directed DMT. There you go. So it was directed by a doctor. Procedures for management and treatment. So complex PTSD is recurrent trauma as opposed to a single trauma, like a car wreck. If you've only been in one firefight in the Army, limited trauma. So, and then complex usually is children who suffer abuse at the hands of a loved one or close family friends, and it's over and over and over again, and your brain does not learn to process trauma in a normal way, and then it doesn't. I'm looking over this way because I'm like talking directly to Heidi. Yeah, I unfortunately deal with both, Heidi. Procedures for management and treatment. The most effective solution to begin controlling your symptoms is to create healthier coping strategies to manage emotions as they arise. Yeah, my buddy said that when he did it, he flew to the edge of the universe and just felt complete bliss. And instead of being on edge all the time like he is the most calm individual 5 years later. He's just chill, just awesome. Therapy can give you and I'm not saying that this works for everybody. Please work with a medical professional. Uh, I'm telling you what I've I've learned from personal experience and anecdotal experience through some of my closest friends. That Jimbo, he was a Fallujah guy. He was a corpsman, and he was the only corpsman his company had, so he stayed outside the wire. It was insane. Let's see. Seen the afterlife, I believe. I won't get into it, but I saw things that words can explain, and I saw people as in short time. Wow. That I don't I don't know how I'd feel about. I think the serotonin release when you saw the buddies had to be incredible. Okay. Therapy can give you the opportunity to express and comprehend your feelings as well as time to investigate the roots of those emotional responses. See, the shrink was talking about the DMT and ketamine therapy. 3 doctors, anesthesiologist, shrink, and a neurologist. Yeah, that sounds about right. What's up, Misty? Okay. So you you need time to investigate the roots of those emotional responses. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a type of therapy in which the patient uses his or her thoughts to solve problems. In, in addition to analyzing emotions that are directly related to the traumatic incident, it allows you to explore how certain beliefs or methods of appraising a situation may be contributing to your emotions. Cognitive behavioral therapists tend to focus on the present rather than the past when working with clients. They, hey, Oshin, they also emphasize moving forward in time to develop more effective ways for coping with life's challenges. Acceptance and commitment therapy is another type of therapy that helps people accept. That was weird. Did I disappear? So, acceptance and commitment therapy is another type of therapy that helps people accept and commit to their lives. To help people overcome their avoidance, acceptance and commitment therapy encourages them to invest their efforts into a meaningful life, allowing them to feel whatever emotions arise from this. Seeking assistance can also offer you a safe environment in which to express and confront your feelings. Finding social support from trusted loved ones can also be a safe method to express your emotions without feeling judged. Journaling about your emotions can also provide you with a secure and private place to express your deepest ideas and feelings. We talked about journaling at length yesterday, but you know, it causes some people more stress to no, please ask away, Cap. Let's see. So for those who experience intensely ambiguous or unpredictable emotions, self-monitoring may prove to be an effective method. It can provide you with an understanding as to which situations elicit specific thoughts and feelings. Finally, if your emotions are overwhelming you, try distracting yourself rather than avoiding them. Distraction can be thought of as a form of temporary avoidance. A good way to get out of a bad mood is to do something you enjoy, such as reading a book, talking to a close friend, or even having a hot shower. This may give the emotion some time to subside, making it easier to deal with in the future. Gardening therapy sounds like it would be a nice way to just completely relax. I'm talking about when I'm in the city, uh, get some planters and stuff and just do like microgreens or something. If the cats will leave it alone. Okay. So we'll read through these again, you know. Workbook 2 exercise, reducing avoidance. While suppressing trauma memories might seem intuitive at first, it can also hinder healing. Trying to avoid or push away memories, emotions, or feelings will just increase your encounters with them. Yeah, that's true, Trump said. Here are some questions to think about. Is avoidance benefiting you long term? Does avoiding uncomfortable trauma related memories help you permanently? Permanently avoid or just momentarily escape them? Has avoidance helped you live the life of a person you want to be? How much time, energy, and money do you spend avoiding upsetting memories? Consider what you've been avoiding and how it's affecting your life. You can put the traumas behind you if you can face your fears. Will also increase your self-esteem and make you feel safer. Yeah, I struggle with that theory a lot of times, and I think that these mechanisms help you numb and get distance from the trauma to in order to um, live a life more free from the trauma. I think. At least I hope. I hope that's the that's my goal. It, so or people that have the mentality to dismiss your way of thinking and tell you to get over it. Yeah, I mean, I won't talk to somebody who doesn't have the experiences and tells you the things that aren't real. The things that you're dealing with aren't real. Hello again, Misty. You can put the traumas behind you if you can face your fears. It will also increase your self esteem and make you feel safer. This exercise has 5 steps. 1, make a list of things you avoid due to your traumas. 2, rate each situation's severity from 1 to 10. Give a scenario a 0 if it bothers you. Give it a 10 if it causes you severe distress. Sort of, then 3, sort the circumstances by severity. The doctor tell me to delete that stuff out of my life. The more memorial pages and people posting dates from events in Fallujah and Rawa, Iraq. He said mute it all. I think I took it too far though. Yeah, I did. I mean, I deleted all my social media for a long time. I got off of I completely got off of YouTube, everything. When we were covering Blue Bacon, I just freaking shut it all down, cut off all contact with Josh and Hippie, and he, so that was before the Jeff Bro days, even. Four, face the least distressing item on your list and then move on to the next case. Perseverance pays well in minimizing avoidance. The more you face your fears, the better your life and confidence. Hey, Jess. All right. Let us do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Drop that down. I'm the kind that has to address it. I'm too good at bearing it when then have side effects that affect the rest of my life. No, don't. Not leaving. I know. It'll be candle time. Probably around 6:15, 6:30. So the sun's below the bank, so I know I got about 30 to 45 minutes. Okay. Roger. Yeah, you have the good time frame, if you ask me. Is it misty? Let's watch one of these.
Drivers, over your head.
Oh, this is one.
Red Street. Right Red Street. Roberts.
Oh. Hey, Sherry. Hey, Freedom Fighter. You're good, Sherry.
He's in 50, he's 1080 on foot. A black male wearing a light colored blue shirt with long sleeves.
Here we got stand-up location. It's going to be Styles and McCarthy, corner Styles and
All right. I'm going to skip a bunch here because there's just.
No, sir. He ain't said a word. Hey, man, I'm with the State Patrol. I'm the one you run from. You got an ID on you somewhere?
No.
What's your name, man?
Go on.
What is it?
Y-O-H-A-N-N.
Y-O-H-A-N-N?
Yeah.
What's your birthday?
2291.
What'd you say your last name was?
Miller.
Miller. M-I-L-L-E-R?
Mm-hmm.
What's your address, Mr. Miller?
I ain't got nothing.
You homeless? Okay. I got something I got to read you, okay, before I talk to you about what's going on, all right?
Dang, that's a lot of dead air.
Let's see here. They're right here somewhere. All right, this is your Miranda warning, okay? I got to read this to you before I can try to talk to you, all right? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you as evidence in court. You're entitled to have a lawyer now who exercises these rights and not answer any of my questions or make any statements.
Dead shit.
Listen very carefully. All right. Georgia law the state of Georgia has conditioned your privilege to drive upon the highways of this state upon your submission to a state-administered chemical test of your blood, breath, urine, or other bodily substances for the purpose of determining if you're under the influence of alcohol or drugs. If you refuse this testing, your Georgia driver's license or privilege to drive on the highways of this state will be suspended for a minimum period of 1 year. Your refusal to submit to the blood or urine testing may be offered into evidence against you at trial. If you submit to testing and the results indicate an alcohol concentration of 0.08 grams or more, your Georgia driver's license or privilege to drive on the highways of this state may be suspended for a minimum period of 1 year. After first submitting to the requested state test, you're entitled to an additional chemical test of your blood, breath, urine, or other bodily substances at your own expense and for qualified personnel of your own choosing. Will you submit to the state-administered chemical test of your blood? Okay. Good enough for me?
Still being college drunk.
All right.
Good, Curly?
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Dude, I was just right down the street, and that's how. What are they doing? Oh, this car's running. I guess I'll chase it.
That was literally like,
What
do you need?
if they just take them to jail? That'd be about it.
They'll do all that.
There's just two of us out.
Yep, they'll do all
I'll cut all the tickets and all that good stuff.
that. Make sure, hey, Pete, make sure all that happens. He needs anything he needs to take care of it.
I'll take care of it.
Okay. You got it, sir. Thanks, Curly.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
I was literally before.
I didn't know what y'all doing. I was like, hey,
You had
so
one run about 5 minutes before you showed
I
up.
called for y'all like 5 minutes before, and I said,
I will, brother. I'm out till 2, and the Hawks are out till 6. So y'all need something?
Dude, as soon as I read the name Andrew Bacon, I was like,
He's on admin leave from that pit last night.
Who's the sergeant tonight for a heat?
It's Corporal
The black.
Sherman, black guy. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Either him or me, it'd be fine.
Okay.
Whatever I can do to help, sir, I got you. Just let me run him real quick, and
Okay.
yeah, that'd be about it.
You want us to, you good if we inventory for tow? And then we'll
Go for it, man. I'm just helping you all.
we appreciate it.
Let me run this guy real quick. I got his name and all that. So what he says. He's 295. He's in Savannah's car and they're recording.
All right. Baba Booey. So do y'all want to do chapter 5? Already. Tomorrow I'm gonna get back into notes on nationalism. I think that's what I want to do besides this. For now. Oh man, you and your names. Cap. It's a great book. I've got another one of these too, on a complex PTSD that I downloaded today, and I'm going to start uh, reading, see if that's a direction I want to go after this one. All right. How to manage complex PTSD triggers. Triggers for complex PTSD can be found in unexpected places. Even though it may appear like symptoms emerge from nowhere, this is not always the case. Complex trauma symptoms are more likely to be triggered or aggravated by something in our internal environment, such as thoughts and feelings, or an external environment, such as a stressful event. Some complex PTSD symptoms can be avoided or reduced in severity by identifying what thoughts and feelings and situations specifically set them off, and then taking actions to limit their incidence or impact on the person experiencing them. So, how does a brain create a trigger? When presented with a threat, your body prepares to fight, escape, or freeze. There is also a noticeable increase in the rate at which your heart beats. All of your senses are heightened as a result of this response. When you're confronted with a threat, your brain alters some of its typical operations, which includes both your working and short-term memory. People who suffer from complex PTSD have brains that do not properly process trauma. It doesn't mark the event as past tense in its memory bank. As the result, even when you know you're safe, you're agitated and afraid. The brain associates specific details with a memory, such as sights, sounds, or smells. These things act as deterrents. They have the same effect of activating your body's alarm system like buttons. Your brain goes into danger mode when you push one of those buttons. You might feel scared, and your heart might start beating as a result of this. It's possible that the trauma's images, sounds, and sensations will all flood back to you, and a flashback is soon to follow. Common complex PTSD triggers. Your symptoms may be triggered by something you experience on any level of perception. Anything that makes you think back to the moments just before or after a traumatic event could act as a trigger. The following are a few of the more typical examples. People. Complex PTSD reaction may be triggered by seeing a person with ties to the traumatic event. Another possibility is that someone has a physical characteristic that serves as a reminder. If you've ever been robbed by a bearded man, seeing another bearded man can bring back those bad feelings. Scents. Memories can be closely linked to the way things smell. For example, The smoky smell of a barbecue may irritate someone who has recently survived a fire. Location. Returning to the place where a traumatic event occurred can also be a trigger. A certain setting, such as a gloomy hallway, may be all it takes to elicit an emotional response. TV shows, news broadcasts, and movies. Seeing someone who has gone through a traumatic event can trigger symptoms. These include dramatic TV and film scenes as well as news footage. Physical sensations. Triggers include certain feelings such as pain. Survivors of assault may experience flashbacks if a certain region of their body is touched. Sounds. Recalling traumatic experiences is possible when exposed to certain tones, music, or voices. Hearing a car backfire, for example, may bring back memories of gunfire to a veteran. Reading or hearing particular phrases may also set off symptoms of complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Taste. The taste of alcohol, for example, may bring back traumatic memories, situations. In certain cases, the trauma is linked to a specific events. It's possible that being trapped in an elevator will bring back the same sentiments you experienced after being involved in a car accident. Anniversaries or dates. Specific dates can serve as a reminder for traumatic events. For many 9/11 survivors, it's difficult to go through the specific day that was marred by trauma without recalling it. So there's many dates throughout the calendar that I have difficulty dealing with. Triggers can be classified as either internal or external. Depending on their source, things that occur inside your body can serve as internal triggers. Thoughts or memories, emotions, and physical sensations are all examples of internal triggers. External triggers include individuals, activities, and environments that come into contact with throughout the course of your normal day, or things happen outside your body. Various internal and external triggers are listed below. Internal triggers: feeling abandoned, feeling lonely, feeling powerless and vulnerable. Memories: muscle tension, pain, racing heartbeat, and onset of sadness. External triggers: an anniversary, a fight, a specific location, a particular odor, a breakup, being present at a car accident that triggers memories of your traumatic event. The holidays, the end of a romantic relationship, seeing someone who reminds you of a person associated with your traumatic event, watching a movie or television show that reminds you of your traumatic event. People as a trigger. Everyone experiences some kind of loneliness at some point in their lives. However, for many people who have had early trauma, it's like a burden to bear that affects everything in their life. And because people can be a symptom trigger, the burden is made worse. Which part, Linda? And the muscle tension can get crazy at times to the point of getting cramps. It's almost time, Cat. She's sitting by the menorah, waiting for her time to light the candles. So people can be intense, angry, unpleasant, or dangerous. They may appear to be criticizing us or manipulating us, or they may be so cool and unattractive that they intimidate us just by their presence. Just about anything can set off complex PTSD dysregulation. Yeah, Linda. And when that happens, one can lose all faith in their capacity to handle the situation without embarrassing themselves, being wounded, or doing harm to someone else. Because of this, one may feel the need to withdraw, conceal, or isolate themselves. There are 100 methods to accomplish that. When I talk about isolation, I mean a state of being disconnected from others, whether it's voluntarily or involuntarily. Even when we're in a packed room with others or part of a family that all lives together, or even in the middle of a marriage, some of us are covertly secluded and have learned to retreat from any meaningful connection. Solitude can be debilitating. It's like the isolation has its own agenda and attempts to ruin us whenever we try to get close to others. Okay. There exists an insatiable want to escape, to be safe and secure, and to avoid the person in front of us at all costs. Another possibility is that it will appear as if we've just abandoned them, or that we'll act irritated and unreasonable in such a way that they wish to abandon us. However, everything happens so quickly that we are lost. It's like a burst of coughing that we can't and hold in for a minute, but eventually have to let it out. Even though I should be able to stop doing that. The occurrences keep occurring regardless of your best efforts. As a child, did you suffer from neglect or abuse? If so, you'll understand what I'm talking about. People have a powerful ability to set off your triggers. The worst things happen when we're provoked, including saying the incorrect thing, being socially awkward, or just being too emotional for other people. That means that through time, we've mastered the art of suppressing our trigger reactions by staying as far away from them as possible. In the early stages of recovery, this seems logical since there is no other way to avoid a massive dysregulation. Yeah, it's crazy how spot on it is. So massive dysregulation from taking over your life. Because of this, You keep your distance, shun opportunities that require frequent attendance, and struggle to completely commit to another person, even when commitment is what you crave the most. This kind of seclusion is as debilitating as spending your life in a cave. Pets can fill the emotional void left by those of a loved one, and thank God for their unfailing affection. They are often the first line of support who can help damaged people get their life back on track. However, it's true that in order for us to truly live, we'll have to make contact with other people at some point, no matter how annoying they can be at times. Is there a way to live with the unpredictable behaviors of others? For those diagnosed with complex trauma, it is likely none of this was taught at home or during childhood. That's possible. It's possible that you were not subjected to lectures from your parents, nor were you taught the social graces by them. You were made to believe that it was your fault for making mistakes and saying the incorrect things, and were perplexed as to why it appeared that you had alienated others. In retrospect, you should have learned more about how things work sooner. Although we're now grown-ups, this is our chance to make changes. The first step is to understand that being in contact with others will result in some trauma sufferers being activated. Even while dealing with it can be difficult at first, avoiding people will only make the problem worse in the long term. At some point, we'd like to have some control over the trigger mechanisms without succumbing to isolation. We would like to bear being around others and maybe develop a real relationship or romance. The next step is to learn how to control the triggers that set off your anxiety. As a result, you'll need an approach that allows you to detect the substance of that trigger, namely fear, before letting it consume you. When you're triggered, a slew of anxieties wash over you and leave you feeling helpless. Reducing triggers is a matter of learning to notice and overcome your concerns one at a time. As you begin to establish more meaningful connections with others, know what sets you off. Hello, Hannah. Consider the times of day when you are most likely to experience complex PTSD symptoms. To find your triggers, ask yourself these questions. Not a doctor, but when it comes to Todd, I honestly believe his behavior is from the Army telling him they don't want him anymore. Believe he truly loved his job. Like when a chick dumps you, but you can't accept the fact that it's over and causes erratic behavior. I mean, I could agree with that. So ask yourself these questions. Do you find yourself in any of the following types of situations? what is happening in your life, in your immediate vicinity? Do you sense any particular feeling right now? What kinds of ideas are you having at the moment? What are the sensations in your body right now, if any? Managing reactions to triggers. Avoiding triggers entirely might seem like the best method to deal with them. However, this is virtually impossible. Why? Because you can't escape your ideas, feelings, and physical sensations. Altogether, we simply have no control over many of these factors. External triggers can be managed in some ways. For example, by not traveling to a specific place is where we know we may be triggered, but most everything that happens to us is beyond our control. You can unintentionally hear something in the news or overhear someone talking about something that triggers memories of your traumatic incident. Because triggers are often unavoidable, learning coping mechanisms is critical to manage them. Healthy coping skills include deep breathing, writing, grounding, mindfulness, relaxation, and self soothing to decrease the impact of triggers. Neutrino, that is true. It takes work, and I mean that's what we've been discussing over these last few days about what work to put in to overcome these things. The more options you have for dealing with your triggers, the better off you'll be. Jimbo, God dang it. The more options you have with your triggers, the better off you'll be. The benefits of having multiple ways for dealing with stress is that you'll be less prone to develop harmful coping mechanisms like excessive alcohol or drug usage. Simply becoming more aware of your triggers might have a positive impact. Greater self awareness improves the comprehension, validity, predictability, and rationality of emotional reactions. This has the potential to have a favorable impact on your mood as well as your general health. The heck? Keeps dropping off. Let's see. How to build resilience. 5 steps to help you cope with triggers. All right. Hang on, everybody. Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu tzvanu betizvanu lehadlik ner kanenu. Eloheinu melech haolam, sheyashanim zimanu hayamim hayamim b'azman hazeh. Set. Sorry, it took a minute. I forgot where I put my lighter. Do this, and I'll post it later for you guys. All right. So, increasing your knowledge of your triggers is critical, but it may also be stressful. Some people may be set off simply by the process of identifying their own triggers. Prior to identifying them, create a plan for dealing with any distress you may encounter. 1. Recognize and understand your triggers. Knowing what events are most likely to set off your anxiety can help you feel more in command of your life. Make a detailed plan for regulating your emotions. Once you've identified your complex PTSD triggers, you can begin to address them. Make a plan for dealing with the situation. Excuse me. Consider what you can do to regulate your emotions and how you can achieve it. Inform your family and friends. Make sure you're informing family and friends that are going to understand and support you. You can inform the others, but let people know that's going to understand and support you. Reach out to individuals who are essential in your life about your plans and ask for their support in doing so. Make use of your resources. Once you have devised a specific tool, it is simply a matter of putting it into practice. Put your relaxation techniques into action. Seek treatment from a complex PTSD specialist. They can assist you in reaching your full recovery. So we'll again read through the workbook exercise. Workbook 3, identifying triggers. Directions. I keep the light right in the right in my peripheral, Linda. I always have the light shining while the candles burn. So for this exercise, reflect on your 3 biggest triggers. Think carefully about why they trigger you and what you can do to stay in control when confronted by it. No, they're Cap. They are part of my coping mechanism for sure. You have no idea how much we talk during the day. I mean, they may be triggers for some of y'all, but this Todd, if I'm on a panel with him, he does, because of his technique of shouting you down. And good to see you, Tom. Good to see you. I like having a written list of coping skills to use. So if one doesn't help, just try the second and so on. Yeah. Sleep is a good one for me. All right. This exercise builds greater self-awareness through self-reflection and allows you to strengthen your defense systems against harmful thoughts, feelings, or reactions. Todd is the Ben Shapiro on YouTube. Even though he is from my tribe, I'll have to agree with you on that one. Ask your following for each trigger. Why does this circumstance trigger you? How do you react to your trigger? What do you need to remember to stay in control when this trigger appears? All right, chapter 6. I think we'll stop here and reconvene on this matter at 5 tomorrow. I think relationships and complex PTSD will be a interesting topic and possibly something we need to something to have a fresh palate as we're hitting it. Yeah, Tom, he's developed it over as a debate me bro. I just don't like him because he's smarmy and he gives us a bad name. Thank you for coming out, everybody. And I will see y'all tomorrow. I'm sure the boss has us off tonight since it's Sunday. Were you there in the first part of the 90s, Cap? It's never a compliment, Tom. '78 to '93. You were there at the same time as him. You're always welcome, Linda. Justin, peace. I will see you guys later.